All right, well, you guys wanted to see the Jaeger review, so I guess here it is. Going to be kind of hard to review this guy when I haven't built him. But yeah, it is a Bandai model kit, so I guess it is does qualify, right? No, just kidding. That's obviously just a joke. Although when I do get around to building that, I will do a review on it. I'm pretty excited about that. I may build that pretty soon. It's been in my backlog for a while. I'll finally get around to it. This is actually what you guys wanted to see today, which is the Liger Zero Jager. So this is part 2 of the Liger Zero review, which I talked about. This is the first of the 3 armor permutations that were created for the Zoids New Century Zero anime and model kit line, and of course this is the HMM version, as you guys are familiar with. So I talked about the story already about how I found the HMM Liger Zero already pre-constructed by its previous owner at Hobbytown, or actually no, it was at Second and Charles, and how I bought the main unit itself, complete in box, already built, with the Jager armor and the Panzer armor. And so I'll be doing reviews of all of those. If I decide to get the Schneider, I'll probably buy the version of the Schneider that is the entire thing and not just the armor as a customized part set. That way I can have probably the Schneider and the Panzer fully built beside each other. And instead of having having to switch back and forth between each armor permutation. So to kind of piggyback off of that review, we'll continue where we left off and talk about the Jaeger in more detail. So I want to quickly talk about it in terms of lore, and we'll get onto the model kit itself. So I mentioned in the Liger Zero review that the Liger Zero, it definitely focuses a lot on that sort of raw potential where, yes, it's a one-of-a-kind Zoid. Yes, it's one of the special protagonists, Deus Ex Machina, it's the Gundam. It's just like the RX-78 Gundam for Amuro, kind of like protagonist luck hacks sort of vehicle, and it is definitely marketed as such. But the base stock Liger Zero was definitely lacking in the way of weapons. It was pretty maneuverable, it performed well overall, and its biggest strength was, of course, the Strike Laser Claw attack, which rendered most of the opponents of the Blitz team went up against in the early episodes pretty helpless against it. When it came to encountering the Lightning Sykes, however, they were woefully underprepared for the extreme speed that those Zoids were able to produce. And as I've talked about in the Lightning Sykes review, Lightning Sykes in Chaotic Sentry was the fastest on-ground 4-legged quadrupedal Zoid that had been made. And so the standard Liger Zero was no chance against that whatsoever. So they introduced the first armor permutation, the Jager. So all 3 of the armor permutations for the Liger Zero focus on different elements. And they all have German names, which I'll explain what each of those are. But Jager obviously means hunter. Those of you who have seen Pacific Rim would know that. And this is part of the CAS system, or CAS system, which means it just means changing armor system is all that it means. But that's sort of the weapon system they went for with the Liger Zero, which, as I had said, is quite cool. So the Jager focuses primarily on speed. It does introduce 2 new weapons in the form of 2 Vulcan cannons that it has, which are admittedly not very powerful. The main thing that this Zoid, this armor permutation offered to the Liger Zero was speed. So you see the 2 massive ion boosters on the back made this thing incredibly fast. So much so to where every side fin armor has to have stabilizers, including on the boosters itself and on each of the shoulders. There's fins and stabilizers on the face as well, and back here. And so this thing was incredibly fast and did manage to outspeed the Lightning Sykes in the anime. And other than that, it's really not all that impressive. I think it looks really cool. I think the blue looks awesome, and the sleek and stylish look to it. It looks very Macross, actually, especially if you focus on the boosters just as its own thing. If you take this unit off and just study the boosters and their design, it looks very Macross with the design that they went for with it. So I think it looks pretty cool, but admittedly, I'm not a fan of this prioritizing speed and nothing else, because I think it's pretty ineffective in combat aside from that. Like, what else are you going to do? You're going to run quickly up to the enemy Zoid and use the Strike Laser Claw again, the exact same tactic, and that is pretty much what the Jager did. Yeah, the speed was impressive, but it pretty much ends right there, which is why the other armor permutations needed to be introduced. The Schneider focusing on powerful melee attacks to be able to counter the Elefander, which the Elefander would have easily handed them their ass had they used the Jager against it. And then the Panzer focusing on powerful artillery-style ranged attacks that compromise speed and mobility as a result. So there's no truly balanced Liger Zero permutation with the cast system. You kind of have to pick and choose which one is your most optimal one. In the video game, Zoids Battle Legends and Zoids Versus 3, the Liger Zero Jager, of course, is playable. It is incredibly fast in that game. With the boosters on full boost, it is one of the fastest Zoids in the game, faster than the Lightning Sykes, although it may not be faster than the Zero Phoenix or the Diablo Tiger. Of course, the Diablo Tiger being a special prototype Zoid that, according to the battle story, is like decades more advanced than this. I can understand that. But as far as Zoids that appeared in the anime, I'm pretty sure the Jager does take the cake as the fastest on-ground quadrupedal Zoid. So that is pretty cool. So I didn't really like it in the Zoids Versus trilogy or Battle Legends because it just didn't seem like it was all that useful. Like, yeah, it's fast, but it has terrible weapons. You're pretty much just relying on the same underbarrel shot cannon that the standard Liger Zero had, which is, again, Bit had to salvage that from a scrap Zoid and attach it. It didn't even come standard with that. And so you're not really gaining any advantage in combat with the Jager, aside from you can avoid attacks easily, because the Vulcan cannons just don't do that much damage. So I didn't find it to be all that useful in the game. But and we'll go ahead and talk about the model kit itself. So again, this is just the armor permutation as sold as a customized parts kit for the HMM Liger Zero. And so you can see here it's a smaller box. It has the de-armored skeletal Liger Zero underneath, and there are several different iterations of the Liger Zero, as I've explained in the past. There is one that is, like I showed off in the previous video, that is the entire thing with the white armor, which is in a pile over there. And there actually was one made and sold that was just the naked version, just like this, so you could have one to put your customized parts on. There were also versions of the Liger Zero that were sold as the full kit with armor, so you could buy the complete Jager that is a full-size HMM with the core body of the Liger Zero and the armor, and such a thing also exists for the Schneider and Panzer. You can see those online, and they're pretty common, pretty easily to find in stock because, of course, this is the cash cow of the series, and they want to make sure that it's constantly available. Putting this together, being that the actual pieces itself were pre-constructed, was pretty annoying, and I'll actually say that I didn't completely do it right. I'll go ahead and be transparent about that right now. So one of the things that I did not do is these little fins right here go directly on the side of the face, and you can't really see that, but it's right here on this little diagram right here. You can see it, and for some reason this piece has one singular peg in the middle there, whereas the piece that it goes on has two holes that are spread out like that. And so I'm clearly missing something, and the instructions is not helpful because I'm sure some of that has to do with how the original Liger Zero underneath was constructed, and the instructions don't really show, aside from this front picture here, it doesn't really show taking all of the armor off of the original Liger Zero and then putting these pieces on. It kind of dances around that a little bit, and I'm not really that big of a fan of that. But overall, these pieces are really cool. Like I said, especially the boosters and the amount of articulation on there. And so they do. I'm going to go ahead and put the box away now. But I basically use that diagram to kind of show, to help me put on all these pieces. So I'll kind of go over each of the pieces right now. So there's the face itself, which again, having the white streak and the blue right here just looks so cool, although it does make the face a lot wider and it obscures the lower jaw quite a bit. I can probably show that off by, yeah, you can kind of see what I mean there. And so, but the thing I find really cool about the face, if I can get the stand to kind of go back where it was, is these two fins that come up right here. Like, that just looks so cool to me. And then the shoulder pieces are pretty okay. I like the little fins on the side there as well. The boosters have articulation in two separate places, so they can move side to side, and then underneath, I'm not going to mess with it too much right there, but there's actually an arm that swivels out like that. Not quite how the Blade Liger's attack boosters work, but similar to where it kind of... It has an arm that swings out on two different points of articulation, where you can have the boosters swing out really wide on the side, to be like, okay, we're on full boost mode right now, and we need as much thrust as we can, so we're going to really open up the gas on this one and have the boosters spread out really nice and wide. And you could do that. It does look pretty cool. But when putting this guy together, I realized that probably was not going to be a good idea, because if I put them as wide apart from each other as they could go, then the weight in the center wouldn't really be able to hold it. It would kind of fall apart. So, but yeah, it looks really, really cool. There's these armor pieces down here on the front legs and the back legs were swapped out, and they have fins on the side as well. Why is this not going back on the base? There we go. The tail swaps out as well, and there's another piece right here between the two boosters where the little crossbar that kind of goes across the shoulder blades is replaced with that, and it does make the boosters look a lot more complete, and it does kind of fill that gap in there. The one piece I did not attach, I'll just go ahead and be honest, is down here you can see a remnant of the original Liger Zero armor there, and that's these pieces that go down here. I just decided to say screw it, because when putting these other ones up here on the knees on, they started to split apart. I didn't want to take that risk, so it was these two pieces and those that I did not put on, so I'll just be completely transparent about that. That's what I did. I'm not ashamed. I'm not going to apologize. The other thing is the little stabilizer blades, the things that they kind of remarked as looking like weapons in the second episode or whatever, and they said, oh, they're not like blades like the Blade Liger, they're stabilizers. Well, those have been replaced with other thrusters. So as if we didn't have enough thrust as it is, we get these other thrusters right here, which these fit very loosely in the socket, which I'm not crazy about, but they kind of flip down like that, and they give you, I can probably just go ahead and take it off and show you up close what that looks like. So it's another thruster right there, and it pegs into the same place where the little stabilizer blade was. So from a design standpoint, I really have to give it to them with the HMM Liger Zero, because not only do they make a fantastic kit on par with the other HMM kits with the bog standard Liger Zero, but they had to have the design sensibilities and how all of these kits would fit together already in mind with the other armor permutations as well. So they basically had to make the bog standard Liger Zero with the modular aspect of it already in mind, where the parts from the Jager, the Schneider, and the Panzer would automatically be compatible with it. And I think that is really cool. So other than that, not too much else to say about it. I think it's definitely worth it if you want to pick it up. If the Jager is your favorite, I can see why it would be. It's not my favorite. I definitely think it's cool, but I honestly just think Zoids Battle Legends, like playing the video game and Zoids vs. 3 and all that, just totally ruined me on this guy, because just seeing how much only getting an advantage in speed is just kind of useless, it just kind of turned me off to it. I'm hoping that one day we will get an HMM Liger Zero X and maybe an HMM Liger Zero Phoenix as well. I think that would be pretty cool. My friend Brad does have the Liger Zero Phoenix with the blue version as well, so if I can get that from him, I will review it. And I also recently just built the Liger Zero X on stream, so if you guys want to see the Liger Zero X, that review is coming soon, and that will also give me an opportunity to review the Liger Zero Empire and the Hasbro motorized version of the Liger Zero instead of the HMM version like we have here. Even though, as I've said before, had I done this before I bought the new house, I could have reviewed my brother's Liger Zero side by side, because he has the Hasbro action figure version as well as the Hasbro motorized version, and I have, of course, the HMM standard version, so I could have done a comparison with all three. Maybe I'll be able to do that at some point, but other than that, I think that pretty much covers it. So let me know what you guys think, and I will see you guys next time.